Hello, everyone, and welcome to Championship Saturday here at the 2019 Glass Blown Open. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Robert McCall. Robert,
it feels like so long since we last talked.
Since you've been gone. It's been a while, or maybe it hasn't, actually. We just watched the exciting finish take place on the FPO side. Spoiler alert, Katrina Allen, your champion for the fourth time at the Glass Blown Open. And she did so in dramatic fashion, somehow holding off Paige Pierce, who charged, caught her, and then ultimately fell just a stroke short.
Yeah, clutch putt from Allen on the 18th. Can't say enough good things about that. After struggling a little bit on the green, and on 16, we saw that dramatic OB call and a couple of warnings and things like that. Allen throws a perfect tee shot, turned toward the water, gets that wind lift over the bush, settles by the basket, and ultimately has to convert 18 feet or so into a headwind, elevated basket. She drops it in. Well done, Katrina. Congratulations on your Glass Blown Open victory.
Very well deserved. Her and Paige Pierce pulled away from the pack. They made it a two-woman race, and like I said, Pierce erased that six-stroke deficit, but when it was all said and done on the 72nd hole, finally, Katrina then closed things out, and we did so with more than 3,000 people watching. We're expecting a big virtual gallery here today on our SmashBoxxTV YouTube stream, and we've got fireworks in store. Somebody just has to hit the igniter, because there's going to be some fireworks in store for sure on our lead card and maybe even on our chase card as we're moving into our MPO championship round.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this shakes out. Like we said, those top four spots, very valuable as they get a shot at the Rainwater Raz round.
Here it is.
13, 2014 and 2015 World Champion, Paul McBeth.
McBeth on the tee, trying to decide between forces here. He's been playing kind of a flex shot down the middle.
And Paul McBeth, we saw this leak out to the left yesterday, and today he puts it right up the middle, and that is great position for Paul McBeth. Here is Eagle McMahon.
From Boulder, Colorado. Sponsored by Discmania, the 2018 Glass Blown Open champion, Eagle McMahon.
As we just heard, Eagle McMahon introduced. Eagle, last year's champion, also in somewhat dramatic fashion. Yesterday, there was plenty of drama as Eagle opened the day with a three-stroke lead, and by the end of the round was 3 strokes behind Paul McBeth.
Eagle changing up his play here. Has been throwing that huge hyzer, but instead he goes max distance, and this is crushed almost at the top of the hill. Are you kidding me? Eagle is trying to make a statement. Looks like he may be trying to play for that Eagle 3. Wow. Unbelievable stuff.
From Blacksburg, Virginia, sponsored by Innova, James Conrad.
And James Conrad introduced here, and then he backs up. I think he usually takes a few steps back. He may enter back into, Kansas City at this point. That's right. As he's going to step up for his long run up. Here's the tee shot by James Conrad. Full extension.
And you love seeing the way that Conrad throws his full body into every shot, full commitment. Skipping left, that needs to settle down, and that's going to land out of bounds for Conrad. Way up the fairway, but he'll be throwing 3 from there.
And in just a moment, we're going to see our two-time world champion.
By Innova, the 2016 and 2017 world champion, Ricky Wysocki.
And as things are silenced just for a moment, believe it or not, YouTube actually does come and yell at us if you're playing music that you're not allowed to play. Maybe the tiniest downside we see to the walk-on music here at the Glass Blown Open, and Ricky Wysocki on the tee.
And this is crushed for Wysocki as well, possibly farther even than Eagle's drive.
Well, as we approach the 12:45-minute mark, our players will push back just a few minutes for the start here today because, of course, we wanted the full conclusion of the FPO round. We talked about how exciting that was. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we assume so many of you are crossing over from the FPO coverage right here to the MPO coverage. All 4 competitors, huge drives.
Yeah.
I better watch how I pronounce those, but a huge drive here.
If you keep the H in there, there'll be no confusion.
Okay. Well,
huge drives.
We don't want to get political here. So, big drives featured here. James Conrad, though, ultimately slipping out of bounds on that left side. He'll get all of that ground carry, of course, and I think these guys are ready for battle. UDisc Josh is out on the board, along with UDisc Matt and all of UDisc Live participating here, helping us out. If you want to tune in and just follow the scores, of course you can do so. You can even select your favorite player. So maybe you're watching somebody in that 12th or that 14th position. You want to see how their day is going relative to the lead card. Simply move over there, click on the little star next to their name, and let them know that you're their favorite or they're your favorite.
They're your favorite.
You're my favorite, Robert.
But you also might be their favorite. It's hard to know.
Well, anything is possible here. We're at the Emporia Country Club. Of course, this is the 4th and final round that's going to be featured. This year, we're playing all 4 rounds as opposed to previous years, which where we've seen a 3-hole, or a 3-round setup. Of course, we might get a little bit punchy here as we're moving into our 8th round of coverage overall for the weekend, Robert.
That is correct. Very much coverage. In fact, we believe this is the most covered disc golf event in disc golf history. So we're excited to be able to be a part of that and bring that to you guys. Here's McBeth from center right side of the fairway.
And we thought McBeth had a crushing drive, only to find out it looks like he's going to be first to throw.
This is a safe hyzer for McBeth, not playing for eagle whatsoever. Skipping toward the left side, that's going to afford him a nice easy hyzer into the green. Well, as easy as a hyzer and 20-mile-an-hour winds can be.
Well, and I'd like to just expand on that for a moment. We talked about sustained winds of anywhere from 20 to 24 today. That's what they're telling us through the app. When I ran out to capture the last hole and then do the interview with Katrina Allen just a few minutes ago, I was actually blown away, pardon the pun. I was blown away by just how strong the wind really is out there. Yeah, as you see everyone's shorts and shirts in the background along with all the trees, it's a lot more prevalent than maybe you even think that it is. We're going to see it affect the disc, but as I said, when I walked out there, it was incredible just how much wind is blowing out here at the Emporia Country Club.
This will be Conrad's 3rd after the OB penalty stroke. And this is low and crushed over the hill. James asking for that to get up. He's gotten a decent chunk of distance there. He'll be inside 150 feet approaching the basket. Here's Eagle. Looks like he's trying to decide if he's going to get aggressive on this shot, play up toward the green for a potential eagle opportunity, or just card the easy birdie 4. And this is an aggressive shot from Eagle, tracking toward the basket. Wow, he's deep of the basket in 2, right around circle 1's edge. Eagle is looking at Eagle 3. Quite a statement hole from McMahon out of the gate.
Paul taking full advantage of the distance. I should say Eagle taking full advantage, and Paul playing it very differently than what we just saw from Eagle.
That's right. Yeah, Paul has 3 shots to give, but Eagle is we're harkening back to the Eagle of old, being a little bit more aggressive, taking a little bit riskier lines, like we see. We see him compared to Simon Lizotte often because they both throw very far and they're both sponsored by Discmania. That was a Simon type shot, and he's going to be rewarded for it with an Eagle opportunity. Ricky skipping up there as well. Ricky with the longest drive of the bunch. Wow. Like we talked about, thought we might see some fireworks, but we're coming right out of the gate. Huge shots from our lead card. And just look at the screen right now. This is Emporia Country Club. You don't get to look at it anymore, but I'm just going to tell you about it.
I'm telling you to move it on over.
Hole 1, it's a beautiful venue for disc golf. But what you need to know is that the gallery right now is massive. Huge gallery out for us on hole 1, and I think we're going to see that grow as the day goes on. Along those lines, if you haven't already done so, like and share this stream so that we can get more eyes on some of the top disc golfers in the world here at the Glassblown Open. How many did we end up with yesterday? We're in the 3,500.
Yeah,
right
pushing
around
somewhere
there.
around 3,500 to almost 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Right now, we're sitting at roughly half that. I'm guessing.
Let's just go ahead and get that up.
Yeah, just go ahead and at least double that. But I'm guessing, just like we saw for the FPO round this morning, that number was steadily increasing. Everyone was coming to watch the action and the drama unfold, and they certainly provided. Now, Paul McBeth has thrown out of bounds.
Wow.
And it looks as if it has, in fact, stayed out of bounds because that area and beyond is actually OB on that left side. And what a mistake by Paul McBeth. I am beside myself already. I don't believe we just saw him make that error.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of extra ground action from what he was expecting, but McBeth is going to be putting to save par. Eagle is inside the circle for Eagle, and as we look back at some of our competitors who have already gone off, Chris Dickerson and Anthony Barella have both carded Eagle 3s to start the day here. Let's remind you, this hole is nearly 1,100 feet.
Oh, and the gallery is calling for it to get in. We want to put something out there. Please feel free to copy and paste it if you'd like in the chat board. Simon Lizotte earlier today announced that he was withdrawing. He is feeling ill. He's gone as far as taking some antibiotics. He said it's just really not worth coming out today to try and fight through that. He said he would rather just try and get healed up. He apologizes to his fans that are out there. He apologizes to the staff and everyone else. We all know we love to see him play and talk about what he's doing on the course. But just know, Simon Lizotte has withdrawn on his own accord due to illness.
We see Wysocki just quickly get up to his disc and pitch up by the basket. And McBeth has found where his zone went out of bounds, and this is a circle 2 putt for par. Wow, and McBeth took no time whatsoever. I wonder if there must have been a lull in the wind or something that would force him to rush that putt.
Yeah, that was very uncharacteristic of Paul, as he normally sets up and takes a little bit more time. And he drew good metal, clearly not enough for it to come in, but
this is
Paul
Eagle.
McBeth could negate his entire lead right here on one hole.
Eagle throws that just a bit low. Looks like that was a headwind. He was just trying to maybe mitigate the big number, missing maybe 3 putting or something like that. He's right under the basket to take 4, but I'm surprised he didn't take a bit more of an aggressive putt at that.
James Conrad, that's a solid putt, and also good to see. Yesterday he had a little bit of frustration on the green, some very uncharacteristic errors by James Conrad, missing putts you would just never expect to see James Conrad miss, but today he's opened up with a solid putt on hole 1. Eagle McMahon in, and Paul McBeth. Wow.
What an interesting start as we see, Eagle McMahon climbing within 1 of the lead. We're going to move over to hole number 2, playing 731 feet. This is uphill, huge anhyzer off of the tee. We will also see possibly an Eagle McMahon, somebody who has a big forehand. taking the left side route. That's going to open up the left side of the green to them. We've got OB golf fairway to the left and then OB tall grass to the right.
As we move over, we, of course, will keep our eyes on udisclive.com. Paul McBeth giving up 2 of the 3-stroke lead that he had.
Just like that.
So if anybody's saying, oh, well, so-and-so has this wrapped up, or we know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I'm going to go ahead and say you don't.
All right. Looks like Eagle McMahon is getting ready to throw his tee shot on hole number 2. He's checking the wind. We see a little bit of a left to right carry for the wind. And Eagle asking our reaction cam, Gary to the O, just to step aside a little bit. Of course, we always will get into position so that it is most beneficial for our players. We'll sacrifice the shot if need be.
McMahon is switching up from the forehand that he's thrown in days past. This is a champion max. Extremely overstable. He's flexing down the right side. And that's in the fairway. It looks like he might have ticked off a branch or two that put the nose up and sent that disc left earlier than he'd intended. But he's in the fairway. Ricky with a low line drive up past the tree in the middle. James Conrad asking for that to get up. That has gotten to the ground a little bit early, but he is safe in the fairway. Last to tee after the, I'll go ahead and say surprising bogey. This is Paul McBeth. He's got a force, and he's looking for the big turnover here. This could set him up to take an easier birdie if he can find the short grass.
We'll see if that can fight the wind and come back. And it's just getting pushed from left to right, and then it catches the tree. Paul McBeth a little bit disgusted with that as he walks away. Huge gallery. We're going to show you a little action from our sponsors at Dynamic Discs. Conrad, not enough height there as he was trying to climb up the hillside here on hole number 2.
Yesterday we saw Conrad in a similar spot throw probably a 500-foot shot to convert for his birdie 3, but birdie 3s are going to be much more few and far between out here with the wind whipping like it is. So far today, only 3 players in our cut field carding the birdie 3. Wysocki takes the big hyzer up the hill. That's a great play to secure a par 4, no problem. McBeth with a little hop to try and judge some distance as he's throwing the uphill hyzer here.
I believe this is also a force by McBeth.
That is left out of his hands. He needs that to catch a tree. Okay, it's settled down nicely. That looked as if it was tracking a lot farther left than it landed. Not a bad spot for McBeth. Probably not a real birdie opportunity, but he's safe. Eagle going max, and that is crunched by McMahon, skipping up toward the basket. From his perspective, that probably looks pretty close. We know that he's probably 60 feet from the basket right now.
Again, welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Robert McCall. Robert, we're here at the PDGA National Tour second event of the 2019 season. There was an 8-year that took place throughout the last 3 days. We had nearly 1,500 competitors playing in the 8-year side of things.
That's right.
And now we're here for the last 60 or so between our MPO and our FPO, battling it out for this National Tour title. What a great week it's been here in Emporia.
Yeah, we literally prepare for this all year. Once this GBO is over, we'll have a meeting. We'll say, what did we do well? What could we do differently? And then we start preparing for the 2020 GBO. So we're so excited for everyone to be in town, for all the festivities and all the great disc golf action so far.
Here's James Conrad throwing his third shot, and it hits the tree. Conrad at best from there will be getting up and down and looking at the bogey 5.
Wysocki has arrived at his disc. Looking at approximately 100 feet. Nice touch from Wysocki. As we saw on the women's side earlier this morning, keeping that putter close to the basket is going to be huge in minimizing the mental fatigue, but also just in your score. Putts have been acting extremely strangely today. Well, and as soon as I say McBeth doesn't have a 3 opportunity, he's like, hey, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he drinks, but hold my protein shake. I don't really know.
What would be entertaining is to watch the two of you with that meme of hold my beer, knowing that neither of you really partake of that type of beverage.
Neither of us with the imbibing on the weekends.
But nonetheless, like you said, Paul McBeth giving it a solid run for the birdie. Now this is James Conrad trying to secure a par from long range. And really just placing it underneath the basket. He's going to walk away with the 5. And Simon, Simon, I'm sorry. I was just replying to yet another inquiry about Simon on our chat board. I apologize. Eagle McMahon just doing that. He not aggressive, not going for that putt whatsoever. Perfectly content, thinking, you know what, I'd like to get it within 5 feet of the basket and have it tap in. I'm not going to mess with these wins if I don't have to.
So we're going to see one bogey from Conrad, and the rest will be taking those par 4s. Move on over to hole 3, 489 feet downhill, playing as the 6th most difficult hole today. 0 birdie 2s carded by our cut field so far. 3.55 scoring average, though over half of our field has taken the par here. The play usually is just something nice and easy down the middle, playing about 410 downhill. We might see some forehands around the left side, and I was surprised yesterday to see a big hyzer out around the right. With the wind as it is today, I think that's going to be a little bit scarier shot, but I've been wrong before. as proven on hole 2.
Well, I think we're going to see, a lot of the shots go right up the middle. Playing with that right side OB is just something that anyone in these positions just doesn't have enough. They don't have enough reason to be going for that right now. If it was the final hole of the tournament and that was the only way to really attack the pin, different story. But this early in the round, Paul McBeth has already given up those 2 strokes that we saw by the miscues on hole number 1. I think we're going to see a lot of shots up the middle. We'll have to wonder, will someone like Eagle McMahon, do you think he'll go with a power forehand, or will he try to possibly turn something over and risk dealing with that wind?
Man, with the wind up so much today, I'm going to tell you what I'm never doing is throwing a forehand, but off screen it looks like we've got Eagle lining exactly that up. He's just going extremely overstable. This is just to be safe, and if he has more of that, it looks like a left to right wind. If it acts like a left to right wind, he can reach the green relatively easily with his forehand.
One of the best forehands in the game. Eagle lining up here on hole number 3.
That is drifting right for McMahon, and that's just a safe play, well executed by McMahon.
And you can tell that was not full power by Eagle.
No.
He was, in fact, letting the wind take that disc. You can see he was just kind of putting it out to that left side. He knew the wind would push it over, but yet somewhat conservative because he does not want to mess with that cart path on the right-hand side.
And the wind is gusting right now for Ricky Wysocki as he's going back to the bag to make a change.
I'd call a timeout. Just say, hey, I'd like to wait.
Timeout.
All right, that might not be entirely legal.
We get one of these per round.
Here's now Wysocki lining up a backhand.
That is on a great line toward the basket for Wysocki. Inside circle 1. Incredible stuff from Wysocki. One other competitor today so far has been inside circle 1 in regulation.
Now here's McBeth lining up a forehand as well. I love the little kick up of dirt there to check the wind.
Yeah, because that dirt isn't instantly disappearing.
McBeth keeps it low and
Yes.
hangs it way left. I love the angle.
Overstable forehand for McBeth. Great spot. That's 80 or 100 feet from the green. Normally I would say that's really not a spot to run for 2, but McBeth, he might have us live in his ear looking to prove me wrong.
James again with a little bit more room needed for the run-up. And James is going to go straight up the middle with the backhand, but that's turned over.
Yeah, that's turned over hard to the right. Looks like it's cut back in bounds by the reaction of the gallery. And look at the gallery right now. This is a 489-foot hole, and it seems like there's a wall of people on the right side of the cart path. Awesome to see so many people out watching live disc golf right now.
Well, we're excited that you're here and joined us today. We'd like you to go and share the link with everyone that you know. Put it out on Twitter, put it out on Facebook. If you need to write it down on a piece of paper and then walk it over to your neighbors, whatever is the easiest method for you, but let them know you're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV. We're also hosting a super chat giveaway throughout this entire weekend. Anyone that's participated earlier in the week is eligible, and everyone through the end of today. Part of that is going to go to buying you and sending you a brand new Dynamic Disc Recruit Basket, and the other 50% going to charity. The charity is to be determined, but we've been pretty good friends from the disc golf community along with the St. Jude community, so I think we're likely leaning that direction, but we'll keep you posted. Of course, we'll post all the information out there, but thank you guys for joining us here today. It's a Saturday afternoon, and the winds are up. The winds are up in Kansas. I have to wonder, what other things are people doing outside today that has the wind affect them to this degree, as we're looking at Paul McBeth's Poison Ivy that he picked up last weekend at the Rumble in the Quad Cities.
Yeah, we've seen long sleeves from McBeth to try and cover that up and maybe, I don't know, reduce some of the itching from him, but as for what people are doing outside today, kite flying is about the only thing that this would be beneficial for. It's not great for disc golf. but we still have our top competitors and a huge gallery out here watching them compete. Eagle McMahon approaching the basket very nicely, 10 feet or so. One of the blessings and curses of a gallery as huge as we have is that we run off a cell signal just like your cell phone does, and with a bunch of cell phones out there grabbing that signal, we might be dropping a frame or two here and there. We are going to do our absolute best to give you the best shot possible. Just wanted to give you that knowledge ahead of time.
Yeah, it is something that we are certainly aware of, and just like when you go to any large sporting event or concert or something of that nature, sometimes with so many people trying to utilize a network, now clearly we're not suggesting we have 60,000 fans out there today, but everyone out there does impact the use of the cellular devices that we're also using for all three of our cameras.
Conrad's putt is high off the basket. He'll be collecting a bogey from there, and this is Wysocki for birdie. This is the lone birdie of the day for our cut fields here at hole 3. Just over the rim, making sure that the wind will not affect his putter at all. McBeth in for par. This is McMahon for par, and all of a sudden, Wysocki is one shot off of Eagle McMahon, 2 off of leader Paul McBeth. And we see in a tie for 4th place, Chris Dickerson and Anthony Barella, both off to good starts. Moving on to hole 4, 423 feet. This is just a big hyzer for our competitors, playing as the 4th easiest hole on the course right now at a 3.09 scoring average. OB fairway will absolutely come into play on the right side, as well as OB cart path on the left. Even if our competitors land and bounds right of the basket, their putt is headed straight toward that OB cart path on the left. So far today, only 6 players carting the birdie 2, and in calm conditions, we see a decent chunk of the MPO field take their birdie here.
Well, and speaking of birdies, now Ricky Wysocki isn't paying attention to U-Disc right now. In fact, I don't believe I ever really see him touch his phone. But what a feeling to think there are 54 of the best competitors in the world out here, and Ricky Wysocki is the lone competitor to card the birdie 2 on that previous hole. Again, he doesn't necessarily know that, and it's not going to matter as we move forward for maybe his own personal psyche. But when you think back to, well, what is the wind doing out there? How tough does this course play? Well, when I tell you one person in the entire field, and that's MPO and FPO, takes a birdie, I think that should give an indication of just how tough things are out there today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Big stuff from Wysocki. Switching up, it looked like he was kind of thinking about the forehand, went back to the bag, made a switch after a huge wind gust. Like we said, we're at a sustained 20 to 25 here with gusts well over 30 miles an hour. Goes back to the bag, makes an adjustment, and collects the lone birdie.
I'm not sure if it's a blessing or a curse to have the honors here as we move over to hole 4.
That's right. And based on the feather flags near the box, this is either a headwind or a left-to-right crosswind. Ricky playing on the left side. This is tracking left and needs to sit down. That has skipped over into the gallery out of bounds. It's basically pin high, so he'll be putting for 3 from inside the circle. So tough to get a wind read, though, today. McMahon throwing that champion max, extremely overstable, cutting left as well, and that finds the same fate as Wysocki. 2 putts for par, incoming from the left side OB cart path.
So Paul McBeth with an opportunity here. Could pick up potentially 1 or even 2 strokes. We'll see if Paul hangs this wider to the right. He's holding for it. It looks like it's dropping quickly. If it sits, and it does, Paul McBeth on the dance floor here, and he may pick up at least a stroke, maybe 2, on both Wysocki and Eagle McMahon. And speaking of Eagle McMahon, his dad is again out here on our chat board. So glad to see him, along with the thousands of others. Pat McMahon just said a few moments ago, in this wind, this is really anybody's game.
Conrad also finding the out of bounds on the left side. 3 competitors OB here off of the tee.
That tells you something. We'll be back in a moment.
Dymax is a process where we can take just about any image and put it on a disc. We can Dymax your next tournament, a trophy disc, or even your wedding.
Can we Dymax our love?
Well, yeah, we can Dymax that.
What about a dog surfing on a pizza, drinking root beer?
That's a toughie. Actually, no, it's not. We can Dymax that. Find out more about all the things that we can put on a disc at dynamicdiscs.com/Dymax.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to flip the script just a little bit from what I was just saying on the previous hole. We said that we had just 1 competitor in the entire field, and that kind of depicts how difficult things are. Here we are with 3 out of the top 4 competitors all finding OB on a single tee shot. If that doesn't tell you just how difficult things are out there, I don't know what does. Jump putt by... Oh, and the gallery was waiting for it. Comes up just short of saving the par.
Trying to get a spot here with the help of one of our volunteers, and thank you so much to our volunteers out here this week at the Emporia Country Club and all over Emporia. We've had such great support from all of them.
Doug Bjerkis, our fearless TD, along with a slew of other tournament directors and helpers at a number of courses, upwards of 9 or 10 courses being used in the Emporia metro area. They do consider that a metro area, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
A thriving metropolis of 25,000.
And Eagle hits off the side of the basket, and rather than it just sitting down, it actually takes a roll. Now, not too far away, but it is certainly not a drop-in.
Wysocki taking his time with this putt.
And Wysocki also after the front of the off the front of the rim.
McMahon converts for his birdie.
times 2.
Bogey.
He did birdie just twice.
My fault.
No worries.
McBeth, however, does birdie. And he, just like that, he's back out to that 3-stroke advantage that he started the round with.
Wow. Tough hole for everyone except for Paul McBeth.
The lone birdie again today. Anyway, let's move on to hole 5, playing as the 6th easiest hole. Actually, quite a few competitors taking birdie here so far, 11 in the MPO field, with 24 carding the par 4. Competitors, especially today, are going to want to make sure that their approach is as close to the basket as possible. So I think we'll see a lot of players playing up this right side of the fairway, trying to keep their hyzer approach to the basket very low so that it can be unaffected by the wind. If it's playing with a crosswind that maybe is a little bit different, we might see more people play over to the left side and then use that forehand approach up to the basket.
Well, we saw James Conrad, who finished in the center of the fairway yesterday, and a little bit farther back than I expected for him. We were both talking about how difficult of a challenge it is and which way he was going to have to go, and then also consider those low-hanging branches. And what does James Conrad do? He steps up and he pipes it right down the middle, puts it right next to the basket. And I think he reminds us why you and I are sitting here and why he's out there on the lead card.
That's right. I mean, we've been rated okay at times, but these guys are on another level. These are elite disc golfers who can pull off shots that, man, honestly, they're just really difficult for us to even see sometimes. So huge props to them. And, you know, we hear a comment every once in a while about how are they struggling so much. The winds out here are fierce. There's OB on every single hole at the Emporia Country Club. So you can't let your guard down for even 1 second. McBeth getting a nice skip just on the right side of the cart path, filtering down left into the fairway. Wysocki next to tee. This is turned too much for Ricky, and that's never coming back. Just kidding. That is absolutely coming back. Wow. That is so far up the fairway. It looked as if Ricky was frustrated, and from our perspective, looked as if it was turned too much. That is an incredible shot for Ricky, making this hole look very easy, at least from the tee box.
That needs to sit, and no problems. It actually filters further into the center. Now the question is, will Eagle be able to, or will Eagle be interested in taking that right side hyzer route, or will you possibly go left side with the forehand? I'm guessing that right side hyzer route is going to be what he's going to line up.
I think so, but he might be just close enough to just throw something straight at it. Big shot for Conrad. This is shaping nicely. Well executed by James.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. Again, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Robert McCall of Dynamic Disc. Robert, you wear a number of hats. Well, actually, you never wear a hat, thanks to the beautiful blessing you have up top. But you do wear a number of hats and play a number of roles here at Dynamic Disc. Not only are you the greatest commentator to ever step inside our Smashbox, but...
Wholeheartedly agree.
I agree with that. I'll give you my job all day. But you also do things with the team and some other media. Explain what you do.
Yeah, so I'm the team director for Latitude 64 Dynamic Discs and Westside Discs, overseeing all of our sponsored players. That's around 200 players or so right now. So yeah, do that, and then recruiting, accepting applications, everything like that. And so that's one portion of the job. And then on the other side, we do some media stuff. I'm on the Disc Golf Answer Man podcast. You can find us at discgolfanswerman.com, as well as YouTube Live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central. Do some of that stuff, and then just various media work for Dynamic Discs, whether it's post-round commentary, making product reviews, things like that. I really love both parts of my job that are kind of side by side with one another, and then I just have a few odd things that I pick up here and there, like copy editing our new Physics of Flight magazine. I really enjoy doing that. So yeah, lots of stuff going on, but I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, you are certainly a huge part of the success here. I want to thank Bobby Brown, who has kind of spearheaded so much of the media side here at Dynamic Disc. When everyone talks about one of the areas where Dynamic Disc excels, of course, you make great discs and have all these amazing products. One of the first things that's said, though, is the media, and that is thanks to Bobby Brown and Jeremy Rusko and the rest of the crew that have believed in Bobby to then further expand to Danny, along with Anthony and everyone else, including Eric McCabe, your 2010 world champ. And speaking of world champs, Paul McBeth, our 4-time world champion, throws an approach shot to about 15 feet, just left side of the pin. Here's McMahon going left side high or left side forehand, and he skips out of bounds. We're going to get the spotter to run over, and he immediately marks it. Wow, McMahon with so much of that left side fairway, and it just does not come back. He threw it low. It didn't get much of a skip. In fact, it didn't skip flare back to the fairway whatsoever. And Eagle McMahon out of bounds. Now, he is very close to the pin, so he may be able to convert from there, possibly walk away with the par 4 and only lose a single stroke to McBeth, assuming, in fact, McBeth converts on his birdie putt as well. James Conrad comes in hot. That's going to skip OB. Does it stay there? No, it comes back, and James Conrad, just by a few inches, finds his way back into the fairway. And I just can't say enough about our spotters and all of our volunteers that are out there hustling around, giving us the information that we need as we sit here in the booth.
Yeah, we usually don't clock 40 times for our volunteers, but I think we might ought to bring that out for this fella. Ricky Wysocki in uncharted territory for the MPO jump putts up his second shot to within 10 feet. That was one of the longest drive. That is unequivocally the longest drive I've ever seen on this hole from that back tee.
And the gallery continues to grow. What a beautiful sight out here at the Emporia Country Club. So Eagle McMahon is at about circle's edge. So for all of our international fans, it's about 10 meters, maybe just inside it by a step or so.
Wind coming off of his right shoulder here. Wow. The extremely rare bottom cage to the top, back to the bottom cage, slide in. We don't have a name for it yet, but we'll just call it a 4 for now, and I think McMahon will be pleased to take that score after
his right shoulder here.
Wow.
You couldn't do that again if you tried.
Well, I mean, give him a stack of 100 discs and maybe, but he's got a tournament to play. We can't do that. Conrad's putt is high on the left side and looks like it just slides through. Unfortunate break for Conrad, as that was for his birdie 3.
Okay, so is it fair to say our putting's a little bit on shaky ground at the moment?
Absolutely. This is so difficult to judge the wind out here. Wow.
We're going to have a brief walk over to the 343-foot hole number 6. It's a par 3.
Yeah, 343 feet uphill. Playing right now is the second easiest hole on the course. OB bunker there on the right side, and then OB long on the backside and left. And we saw that come into play earlier today for Paige Pierce. We might see that for our male competitors as well. A 2.92 scoring average. Haven't gotten to look at all of the holes yet today, but I have to assume that fewer than 5 are going to play under par all day today.
Well, and yesterday we saw in better conditions, and probably throughout the week, I think history will tell us that this is played as one of the easiest overall. Right now, as you just mentioned, it's the second easiest at the moment, but this has played as a must-get birdie out here. If you're on the lead card, if you're challenging for the win, you should definitely be picking up the birdie here, and we definitely shouldn't see any OB penalties on this card because this is one that you need to get. McBeth asking for it to get down, and he is in the exact same spot we saw Paige Pierce, maybe a little bit left of it, but he is out of bounds. Paul McBeth with far too much power and or aided wind that pushed him all the way out of bounds.
Wysocki with a similar hyzer. And we've seen this same Firebird and this same result each of the times that I've seen Ricky throw on this hole. So 3 so far, all of them inside 15 feet. McMahon's drive landing softly and inside 20 feet. Last to tee is James Conrad. This is one of his MD4s, so that's a mid-range that he's throwing uphill, effectively 380 or so feet. Taking more of the straight line. Oh, just right of the basket and just safe of the OB. Well executed by Conrad.
I play disc golf because I've been playing since I was 4 years old. It started off just playing with my dad, and then I realized I had this natural ability. I love that you have to adapt every time you throw the disc. It's never the same. It keeps you on your toes, and I think it's something that challenges you as a human being. I chose the Lucid X Convict because it's such a versatile fairway driver, but in the Lucid X plastic, it's super dependable. It's like a beat-in Felon where you can just pop it nice and flat and it'll ride forward for a while before it hyzers out at the end. It doesn't move a lot on the fairway, but you are going to get that reliable, overstable finish.
And Paul McBeth misses his par opportunity. He's going to walk away with a bogey from hole 6. And just a few moments ago, we were talking about hole 6 being the second easiest hole on the course. Wow.
This is Conrad from what looks like about Circle's Edge. I'm nearly positive that's a driver from James Conrad. I think he just putted with his Firebird. In case you need any indication of just how windy it is, that was certainly not James's normal JC Tour Series putter.
Can Eagle take advantage? He does.
Yeah, and that's MD5 that Eagle is putting with, which is a very overstable mid-range from Discmania.
What a turn of events here on the second easiest hole on the course. We have 3 birdies and a bogey by our leader, Paul McBeth. And Ricky Wysocki moving himself up as well. We're moving over to hole number 7 at 669 feet.
Yeah, new tee box for us here. This low-hanging limb playing with a lot of people's psyche. This is playing on the easier side of holes so far at a 4.32 scoring average. Competitors are looking to throw over this out-of-bounds golf fairway to the right and land down by the ditch that's near the 250-foot mark. Once they've done so, they can throw a hyzer up through these 2 gaps on the right side, or if they get a little closer to the trees on the left, they've got a higher ceiling and a straighter approach up to this basket. So far today, only 5 players capitalizing on the birdie 3 here, with 29 carding par, and only 16 players taking bogey or worse.
Well, I know we've been talking quite a bit about the wind. We've actually been blessed with very, we'll say, unseasonably consistent or unseasonably pleasant conditions this week. We've
temperature-wise, 100%
temperature-wise,
true.
exactly. That's what I was trying to go with. We've had a couple of days of high winds. Of course, that took place on Thursday and today. The other 2 days relatively calm, but temperatures only in the 70s. And I feel like in past Glass-Blown Opens, when it's been warm here, it hasn't just been warm. It's actually been hot.
Yeah, kind of toasty.
We're not experiencing that. However, there's enough tension and drama and excitement in the air that if your heart rate's not going, I'm not sure you're a disc golf fan.
Ricky playing a hyzer flip down the middle, over the golf fairway, just scooting safe. I'm not sure if he knows just how close that was to OB, but he is safe. He'll have a long second from there up to the basket.
Ricky Wysocki has 4 birdies on his scorecard. The lone bogey of his was from hole number 4, but he currently has 4 birdies on the scorecard, which is more than anyone else on this lead card.
McMahon is lining up this huge hyzer. Look at the gallery out on the right side of this hole. He's got this huge hyzer with his Champion Max. Pardon me, Metal Flake Max. And Eagle has gotten the red flag. Not sure if that crossed and bounds by that tree or not, but we had seen a couple of our competitors come up just short of getting all the way back to the in-bounds disc golf fairway on the left side.
And in breaking news, Brian Earhart, for 2 consecutive rounds now, has aced. He took an ace on hole number 12 today. He's like, if I can't get on SportsCenter today, I'm going to try again tomorrow.
Wow, that's so awesome.
Brian Earhart, ace on hole 12. Here's James Conrad.
Conrad asking for a big skip and getting some ground action.
He initially got a green flag. I think that might have been a mistake, and then got a red flag.
I think the spotter is trying to indicate that it touched in bounds right there and then went back out of bounds.
Interestingly enough, we also see on the chat board of our YouTube live stream, Pat McMahon, as in Eagle's dad, saying he wasn't a fan of the choice. I think his exact terminology was such a bad choice. And I have to wonder if that's what he's thinking about, what Eagle had just done here on the tee of 7.
McBeth following suit, and we see driver after driver end out of bounds. We'll see if McBeth can correct on their mistakes. He has done so, and he's done so well. And we think back to a couple of holes ago, McBeth taking that straight shot down the middle that ended up lifting and going OB left on the cart path. You have to think that was in his mind when he's choosing to play that wide hyzer, even with a couple of guys landing OB short right.
Well, and what I find interesting is when these guys were out here practicing, it was relatively calm for a few days.
Yep.
And, of course, they like to practice various shots for different conditions, but I'm not sure a lot of them came out here and said, hey, I want to play the super wide hyzer to have that come all the way back on hole 7, because most of them were going right up the middle. They felt like that was the best play. And now you see our lead card taking this wide gap, and you got to wonder, did what Ricky did or what Conrad did, is that affecting any of the other players' decisions when they say, okay, I see what they just did, and I can execute that or even execute it better.
Right, and you have to wonder for James Conrad and Eagle McMahon, having not executed on those shots, are they is that a little bit of an intimidation move from McBeth? Obviously not intentionally, but do you think he's thinking, hey, here's the shot you couldn't pull off. I got it.
Yeah, well, we know that we're going to see a little bit of a scoring change yet again. And I know I just mentioned a moment ago, Ricky Wysocki now sits at 16 under, 100% in contention for this with his 4 birdies and his lone bogey. And he is just 2 strokes back of Paul McBeth. He is tied with Eagle McMahon at the moment. 1 stroke behind them, Anthony Barella, who's got 2 birdies and an eagle.
McMahon taking the Metal Flake Max out over the fairway again. A huge shot. He's landed probably a little short of circle 2 and rolled a little bit backwards. He'll probably have around 80 to 90 feet left for his look at a par 4.
Show you the nice blue skies we have out here in Emporia today. In case you were wondering, not too many clouds out there.
I just can't get over this gallery. We've already got hundreds of people out watching our top card today.
We are also pushing more than 4,000 of you at home or at work, wherever you might be. Maybe you're at a beach. Maybe you're climbing a mountain. Either way, we're glad you are tuned in and watching us. Please go out and share it. Let others know you're watching the exciting final round here at the 2019 Glassblown Open.
You could see the extreme steep hyzer that Conrad put on that shot to mitigate the wind. Oh. And that lands safe. He watched that for what felt like an eternity, I'm sure, to him. But he is safe and able to approach the basket with his 4th to set up for bogey 5. McBeth considering his options from the left side of the fairway. And we quickly cut over to Ricky Wysocki, whose approach has landed right around the circle's edge, but he has a tree directly between his disc and the basket. McBeth eyeing up the forehand down the left side of this fairway. He's got a very overstable force in his hand for this shot. This is low from McBeth. Never had a chance to climb that hill. As we take a look over at udisclive.com, only 2 bogey-free scorecards out on the course at all today. One of them, as you mentioned, Anthony Barella, sitting at 4 under par, but currently putting for bogey on hole 8, so that will change shortly. pardon me, 3 bogey-free rounds. We've got Johnny McRae sitting at 3 under par through 9 holes, and then Kevin Jones 5 under through 10. Certainly the hot round of the day so far. This is Conrad's 4th from the left side of the fairway. Well controlled by Conrad to within 20 feet of the basket. Here's McBeth approaching with his 3rd.
McBeth about 15 feet past the basket at most. I believe that was his Z zone. And just to give a little bit of geography out here in Emporia, this basket is the closest basket that is in proximity to us at the moment. We are, if you are looking at it right now, if you were to go directly at, say, a 3 o'clock angle, you would run into the Emporia Country Club clubhouse, where we are currently located.
And I have a feeling if Rick converts here,
like that.
Now we hear a little bit of the of the sound from the gallery outside, even in the studio here.
Yep. If you see the white vehicle just beyond the basket, we are tucked underneath there. So yes, we can even hear the gallery ourselves in real time.
And that's a bogey pickup for Conrad. McMahon is in for bogey. McBeth in for par, and now Ricky Wysocki is just 1 shot off of McBeth's lead. McMahon falls back to 15 under par, which is currently tied with Anthony Barella. Well, we're going to take a short walk over to hole number 8. This is playing, today is the 4th most difficult hole on the day, but it's playing at a 5.84 scoring average. Players have to play something that lands in between the cart path on the right side, which is OB on the right, and then tall grass OB with the water on the left side. We've seen player after player try and play it a little too safe on a big hyzer, skip into the grass left OB, or hang it out just a little bit too far right and never come back in bounds OB right. So if our players are trying to capitalize on the birdie today, as so far only 2 players have done, AJ Risley and Logan Bowers, shout out AJ, you're my man. You have to keep the disc in the short grass. You cannot test the cart path because that's usually a losing battle.
Well, yesterday we saw that happen out here. Eagle McMahon giving up 3 strokes here on hole number 8. We saw that swing. Paul McBeth walked away with the birdie 4. Meanwhile, Eagle McMahon took the double bogey 7.
Yeah.
So this hole was a turning point, not only in the round, but possibly in the tournament. When you look back and you say, okay, what happened? Where was the story here? You have to look at this freshly designed hole number 8. And kudos to Eric McKay, because holes number 8 and 9, the 2 new holes that we're seeing out here this year, wreaking havoc on our competitors and also providing plenty of excitement and drama.
We're back on the tee with Wysocki. Wysocki's disc has gone OB right. And he will lose a lot of distance from where that shot ultimately landed.
just when you think that Ricky Wysocki is, got possibly all of the momentum and may really take advantage of that and run away with it, you then find him throwing out of bounds here on hole 8's tee.
McBeth taking force down the middle. This is very low and headed left. He needs that to sit softly. It's done exactly that. McMahon on the tee, even on the day. McMahon playing a hyzer flip, trying to just get maximum distance.
And that needs to sit down, and it's pushing the left side, and that is also out of bounds. So Eagle McMahon, yesterday we saw him go to the right, find the OB on the cart path. Today he makes an adjustment. Unfortunately, it's just too much. Out of bounds, left side for Eagle McMahon.
Yeah, it looked as if he had kind of conceded that he's going to go out of bounds somewhere, so it looked like his thought was just get as far down the fairway as possible. James Conrad asking for that disc to move right. It's settled softly. That's a great shot for Conrad, left side of the fairway.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside Robert McCall of Dynamic Disc. We had Eric McCabe. He came in a little bit earlier today while the FPO was out there battling it out, and he kind of gave us the breakdown. He actually gave us the evolution of how hole 8, the new hole 8, came about, saying he was trying to play a quick round while here at the country club, and he was with Eric Oakley, a fellow team member, and they said, oh, well, let's just play from 8 to 9. And he said that thought was, there before, right, but apparently that cemented the idea of it. How do you feel about that?
That's right. I was present while we were playing that round, and my first tee shot, I was like, this is kind of a hard tee shot, and it was pretty calm that day. I was like, oh, whatever, this will be a fine hole. I mean, I don't think it's that great at the time, just having looked at it the first time. And now playing it a few more times, I love this par 5. When the wind is up, it plays so incredibly difficult. And when the wind isn't up, it also plays difficult. I like just having an additional par 5 on this course. It kind of, I think it allows us to be more of a competitive layout instead of, we had a pretty difficult par 3 that almost nobody birdied in hole 8.
Sure.
And then a very easy par 4 that everybody birdied in hole 9. So I like switching this up and making it a little bit more competitive and difficult.
Okay, well, it has, as I mentioned a moment ago, provided every bit of the excitement and drama you could ask for, especially being this par 5. Looks like Ricky Wysocki is going to be first to throw. And speaking of 5, we'd love to see 5,000 viewers. If you guys could just go out and share the link. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV as we're presenting the second stop on the 2019 National Tour.
Wysocki attempting what looked like kind of a big turnover. He's gotten the OB flag. That'll be Wysocki's second OB on this hole, and he is maybe just past halfway as far as distance goes.
Okay, well,
that
sounds like we were whipping around and trying to get back into position. What we've really seen out here with the players that ultimately go OB to the right, they're usually in a much shorter position.
That's right.
Then we see players that carry much farther up the fairway, and then our OB on the left side. There is a lot of varying levels of where the next shot could possibly land. And I just real quickly have to send a shout out to our cameramen. They are hustling around. They've been out there every single day for upwards of 8 hours per day, trying to give us all of these shots and the angles. So we appreciate everything that those guys are doing. Hopefully you guys love it at home as well.
Conrad safely in front of the old tee is throwing a hyzer down toward the left. That has sat perfectly. Conrad's in a great position to attack the green for birdie 4 here. And McBeth just in front of where Conrad was. McBeth playing hyzer toward the left side. Just hoping that this doesn't skip too hard. It has done beautifully. He's just behind Conrad with a similar attack position. And looking at UDisc Live, there's something I'd like to note. So Anthony Barella karting the Eagle 3 on hole 1, 4 consecutive pars, followed by 2 birdies. And then when he arrived at hole 8, 2 out-of-bounds throws, and ending up with a double bogey 7, but with 2 circle 2 putts. So I saw that he was putting for bogey from circle 2, which apparently he missed to 60 feet. Must have been a rollaway in the wind or something like that. Then he converts from 60 to save the double bogey 7. That's crazy.
My mind is melting. Let's see what they're talking about here on. All right, so it sounds as if Paul McBeth has assisted Eagle McMahon in giving him a spot here. Paul McBeth just perfectly dissecting this hole at the moment. Center fairway, setting himself up nicely. Now, something that's worth mentioning is the advice we got from Eric McCabe a few hours ago. He said, when you're throwing over this hillside, the mistake that so many people make is that it leaks down left and then finishes towards the water's edge OB. He said it's very easy to do. It's almost, excuse me, as if it's almost unassuming, and they can just really creep up on you quickly. So you might want to think about pushing that right side OB more so than the left. And so
McMahon.
Eagle finds himself just in front of James Conrad and just in front of Paul McBeth. However, with a few more strokes at the moment.
That's right. Getting up to the top of the hill where we see Wysocki taking his meter relief. This will be his 5th with 2 penalty throws so far. Wysocki forcing something very stable over to the right side. He's through the trees and will have a short approach to the basket. I was about to say relatively easy, but it doesn't feel like anything today in the wind is easy at all.
And Ricky doesn't realize it, and therefore it won't take any extra
years
space,
off his life or anything.
Yeah, or any extra space in his thought process at the moment. But that after hitting that tree, obviously that could have easily kicked to the right and found himself OB. He didn't even see where it necessarily kicked to. He just knows that he's inbounds and that he'll have an approach shot from there. A little bit of housekeeping. I feel like this is worth mentioning every so often. Simon Lizotte unfortunately had to withdraw. He's actually even joined us on the FPO message board when we were covering the women earlier this morning. He said, I apologize to all my fans out there and the supporters. He said that he was feeling ill and that it wasn't worth him coming out to try and battle through the illness that he's faced with at the moment, but Simon Lizotte has withdrawn for that reason. Also, the Rainwater Raz Round taking place shortly after the conclusion of the event today, and then, of course, tonight, the GBO block party along with the awards. Our day is not even half done here, Robert.
Here's McBeth approaching, skipping up nicely. Wow, McBeth making this hold look like child's play, looking to add his name to that list of birdies along with AJ and Logan Bowers.
McBeth conversing with his caddy, Joey Tamale.
I think as we look back on the day, if eventually McBeth is our champion, I think we'll look back on how he's played hole 8 and say that was one of the key moments, avoiding the OB, keeping the disc under the wind, and playing this hole in nearly 2 strokes under the average for our cut field. So, like, our top competitors are playing this in 5.85 so far. Conrad's approach long of the basket just outside circle 1 deep.
Yeah, and speaking to the wind and the power that he had there, that skipped, or hit, I should say, right next to the basket and then carried upwards of 25 to 30 feet past the pin.
McMahon's MD5 approach is picture perfect inside 10 feet.
And Wysocki also hits right next to the basket, and you
That
see the
looks
carry
so
that it got.
strange with the die on it, but
It's been a long week out here, Robert, but yes, that was a disc coming in, and it's hit skip right past the basket.
from our perspective, it looked like he just threw it end over end, which would be totally impossible, but I feel like crazier things have happened.
I was going to say, Ricky has plenty of trick shots in that cart that he pulls around.
Conrad unable to convert after the big skip by the basket.
James Conrad's struggles continue out here. He has just carded this lone birdie for himself on hole number 6 today.
Ricky's putt is high in the chains, but does not stay in the basket. McBeth is in for birdie. Huge play for McBeth is that will allow him to breathe a small sigh of relief as he's passed one of the most difficult holes already. Hole 9 playing at 651 feet. Today, pardon me, playing as the second most difficult hole on the course. A stroke over par so far. And we've got just one player carding the birdie 3 so far. Mr. Birdie himself, Anthony Barella, charging after carding the double bogey 7. Players have to beat that wall in the middle of the fairway through the tunnel, come to rest safe right of the cart path, left of the woods line. Any drive that goes OB goes to the drop zone. And then the shot up from the drop zone or from a drive is going to be big anhyzer around the corner or a forehand around the corner to a green protected on the right side and back side by OB that's right around circle's edge. Incredibly difficult hole. Only 32% of the MPO field so far today carding that par 4.
Yeah, and as we were looking at the stats, showing that it's playing a full stroke above par as the average, and this is our cut field. That's just incredible, and yet it's just the second most difficult. Now, interestingly enough, for the last few days, we've seen the hole 8 play as the second most difficult, and then hole 9 play as the single most difficult. Today, hole 8, I believe you said, was 4th or 5th.
4th at the time, yep.
And now we see hole 9 being the second. That kind of frightens me for what we're going to see as the most difficult hole out here at the conclusion of this round. It's now somewhere in that back 9, and we're making the turn. In just a few moments, of course, they're going to play 9. That'll be just after that will be the halfway point. Paul McBeth has extended his lead from today. When he did start with 3 strokes, now he's up to 4 strokes. And just when we thought Ricky Wysocki was making a great charge, and he got right up there as he was sitting, I believe, at 16 under a few moments ago, now Ricky Wysocki takes the dreaded 8, the snowman as some would refer to it, on hole number 8.
Yeah, that's going to drop him back to a tie for third place with Anthony Barella. They are 5 off of McBeth's pace, with Eagle McMahon 4 off of McBeth's pace. He's sitting at even on the day through 8 holes.
Kevin Jones still the hottest round at 5 under for today.
McBeth, buzz in hand. Holding his follow-through, watching intently. And that's a red flag from our spotter. Looks like McBeth has gone OB. We were unable to track that disc for you. McMahon's drive is low and straight over the hill, but safe. Looks like at minimum he will likely take 1 stroke from McBeth here.
I think with that position where Eagle McMahon is, that is so far back and was so low that I'm not sure he has any chance at getting up and down and even thinking about a birdie. But again, right now a par may take a stroke from McBeth.
That's correct. Yeah, here's James Conrad. His disc is high through the tunnel, and that is OB red flag. He'll be headed to the drop zone. Wysocki's drive is low and turning, and that's exactly what you want. He's going to get the green flag, and he'll be safe.
We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back to hole 9. We're on the drop zone here with Paul McBeth. Looking for a forehand around the corner. This is high and right. McBeth clutching his head after that shot. He's gotten the green flag from the spotter, but that is certainly not an easy approach from where he's fallen. It looked like a wind-aided unforced error there from McBeth. I won't even say unforced error. The wind looked like that carried that hard right for McBeth. Rose it up very quickly. Conrad challenging the golf fairway, OB long. He's safe. A collective sigh of relief from the gallery there. He'll be approaching for his look at bogey 5. McMahon is going to have difficult footing if he wants to get aggressive on this tee shot. A little bit of a downhill lie. And almost like maybe a backwards 7 angle if he wants to get up to the basket. It's past 90 degrees if he wants to get all the way to the right. Looks like McMahon is just going to play safe here.
And that
He
is
gets
tight to the
green flag.
woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we'll have to see if any of that wood line actually comes into play, some of those branches that extend out into the inbounds area, because the last thing he would want to do is have to throw kind of a light anhyzer, and possibly get the front or the nose of the disc up in the air.
I didn't get to see which disc this was from Wysocki, but it's the one he's been bombing super overstable all day. This is likely an attack on the green. Not a great skip for Wysocki, but in great position to take the par 4.
I'm not familiar with all of Innova's lineup, but I'm guessing that would be either a road runner or possibly a sidewinder.
Yeah, I think those are 2 great guesses. Honest guess, I think that maybe a PD2 or something like that. Very, very overstable. So we can see, I'm sure I'll be beating a dead horse here. It's just so cool to see the gallery behind our players here, winding down the cart path here at Emporia Country Club, and then lined up on the hill that's left of the cart path as well. McBeth's forehand up and around the corner, way too high. That has gotten shoved back to the right. Wow, he's safe, but not in a great spot to save his bogey 5. McBeth is likely staring down double bogey 6 here.
What a great shot of our gallery out there. So many of the purple shirts that we've talked about throughout the weekend, purple shirts indicating some form of volunteer or helper assistant to the tournament. Of course, this tournament wouldn't be possible without all of those people. And our leader in Doug Bjerkes, I believe Dave Montine, along with Ryan Draper, are the course TDs here at the Emporia Country Club.
Conrad approaches nicely and settles underneath the pin.
Eagle with a nice low approach. That's within 15. And no surprise, Ricky in ready golf mode. And if what's great, and that maybe there is something to be learned by that, if you are typically a relatively fast player, that can really be to your advantage, because if you are comfortable with throwing within just a few seconds of making up your mind, then you can possibly wait out some kind of a win situation. You know, if you know that it normally only takes you 4 seconds to really prep and then throw your shot, knowing you have a full 30 seconds to wait out during your time means you could potentially wait all the way to that 25th second and hope that the wind dies.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you see some of our more veteran players taking advantage of that. Maybe rushing a putt a little bit if they feel a lull in the wind, or just seeing like maybe there's something in their eyes so they can wait for a big gust to pass on through.
We're going to move over to Brian Earhart's ace hole from yesterday, hole number 10.
Yeah, hole number 10 playing on the easier side of holes today at a 3.3 scoring average. Players have to crest this hill and hold their disc over to the right just a bit as it goes downhill. There is OB off to the right and then golf fairway out of bounds to the left. 391 feet, plays probably just a bit shorter, but one of the more technical drives we have on the course here.
Well, Brian Earhart making magic yesterday, and as I said, decided to follow it up today and take another ace. We're going to see that hole in just a few minutes as he aced hole number 12 today. Yeah, I would say that's a good way to put your finish on your GBO experience. Acing during the third round and then ace again during the fourth round.
Yeah, back-to-back aces. Well, not back-to-back aces, but in back-to-back rounds. Pretty awesome stuff. And I believe we have that edited clip that we might be able to show you here in just a minute.
We'll be able to bring you that.
Yeah, well, we're going to work on that for you.
We'll get to that. But first, we're going to have Eagle McMahon. It looks like he's ready on the tee on hole number 10. He's lining up a backhand.
Yeah, and he's cut that deficit between himself and McBeth to 2. Wysocki behind McMahon by 1 currently. McMahon's drive looking picture perfect, just over the basket, inside the circle, probably around 25 to 30 feet. Wysocki next on the tee. This looks like the same disc that he threw off of 9's tee, asking for it to push right, which it has.
And Wysocki gets the green flag. Wysocki also opts for the slightly more aerodynamic hat option in terms of flipping it around. We saw him play that way yesterday. Maybe that's a little bit of a rally cap formation for him.
Conrad's drive is high, just asking for it to get down. Conrad's drive has unfortunately filtered through all of the trees near the basket and has found the golf fairway on the left. I think it's worth noting you see that little bit of disappointment from Conrad there. I respect Conrad so much for the demeanor with which he carries himself on the course. He just threw OB in one of the only the second national tour of the year, some of the disc golf's biggest events, and his only response is just kind of pat his hand a little bit. Wow, and that is dreadfully low for McBeth. He'll have a difficult approach here from the top of the hill.
Wow, and my mouth is agape for a reason, as I was just thinking about Paul McBeth's throw.
Yeah.
I've watched Paul McBeth play since 2007.
Yep.
That might be one of the worst shots I've ever seen him throw.
You just don't see it a whole lot from him, and I think, or from really many of our top competitors, the wind playing tricks on our competitors, forcing them into shots that they wouldn't normally throw, or maybe into overthinking from time to time as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. With the way that this hole slopes down to the green, I know Paul was just trying to keep it low, and again, rarely do we see that kind of a misfire from our 4-time world champion.
This looks like a zone approach, and this is looking really nice for McBeth. Inside the circle, 25 feet or so, probably a bit longer than he'd like. But let's take a look back at Brian Earhart here, hitting the ace on hole 10. This is a Z Comet. Little bit of tailwind, just holding left, just under the branches, dead center. And this is my favorite part. Brian is the last person to know that he aced it. He is so surprised as his card mates give him some love. Gallery on the left side, giving him some kudos, as well as we see the dynamic disc flight line following this ace toward the basket. You love to see it. Brian starting off the season with a bit of a mishap, breaking one of his toes early in the year, still recovering from that, but Great to see him hit an awesome ace here. If you see that out there on the Dynamic Disc Facebook page or on the Instagram account, please share that out with a hashtag SCTop10. We'd love to see more disc golf on SportsCenter if possible.
And great work by Danny, along with Anthony, capturing that shot. For a moment, I thought the comment was going to stop off at the salad bar as it was coming in a
little bit high toward the cabbage.
A little bit, but ultimately finding the bottom of the basket. Congratulations, Brian Earhart. And if you weren't impressed with that, Brian says, all right, I'll ring up another one for you today.
That one, unfortunately, is not on camera, but still an impressive ace. Well played, Brian. And I think we just saw James Conrad skip out of bounds here on his approach. I didn't see where that settled. I could be wrong. Here's Wysocki for birdie. Circle 2. And that attempt from Wysocki is low. It is into a dead headwind, so it's hard to be really aggressive with that sort of shot. This is McMahon for birdie inside the circle.
And McMahon punishing his disc. Bad disc. Which I don't really think is fair, Robert, if we're going to be honest here. I'm a father myself. That wasn't the disc he threw. So I don't know why he was punishing that one. So Paul McBeth is making sure that the chains align correctly. And that looked a bit high for a moment.
Yeah,
but
subtle fist pump for McBeth.
Yep.
In for birdie and taking at least one shot back from McMahon. Likely only one, as McMahon is close to the basket for his par. My apologies. I forgot about McBeth's drive. That was for his par. That was a par conversion, so he's not going to lose to McMahon here. But a big putt to save a stroke nonetheless.
Still a little bit of a mental victory for McBeth after what many of us would say a less than ideal drive. Let's head over to hole 11. 399 feet. Very, very attackable, but plenty of danger here, Robert.
3.47 scoring average today. Only 5 players karting the birdie 2 so far. We have OB cart path to the left as well as OB golf green up to the right. We've seen a lot of competitors skip OB left by the basket, and recently we've seen some competitors driving long, as we saw Wysocki nearly finding the cart path yesterday, long of the basket. So let's check out the people who have been karting those birdies today. We see Nate Sexton, Johnny McRae, Drew Gibson, Miles Seaborn, and Grady Shue all karting those birdie 2s today, with 43% of the remaining field taking the par.
Well, and we look at the overall scores, thanks to UDisc. We can see our top 10 right now. Paul McBeth still out in the lead. He's got that 2-stroke advantage over Eagle McMahon. He's also then got 3 strokes clear of Ricky Wysocki. Kale LaVisca trying to shoot himself up into that Raz round for this afternoon's action. Kale sitting solo 4th place right now. It looks like he's moved up 3 positions as he sits at 12 under par. Anthony Barella, we know, had this hot start, but as I kind of glance over at your screen, unfortunately, I see some orange and darker orange for Anthony Barella. It looks like he's taken a bogey and 2 double bogeys all in the last 4 holes, sandwiched between a birdie in there. So Anthony Barella has fallen off the pace just a little bit from where he was. We are far from over. Anything can happen, but we're going to get back to hole number 11. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to SmashBoxx TV as we bring you the second stop on the 2019 National Tour.
Eagle playing Metal Flake max out to the right here. That's holding straighter than he wants. Taking a little trickle back to the right, but that's safe. Wysocki next to tee. Looks like this is a dead headwind in the face of our competitors. Wysocki playing the tighter hyzer flip, riding the cart path up to the basket and landing safely inside circle one. Incredible play from Wysocki, really testing that left side OB and basically parking this shot in not quite gale force, but extreme winds. McBeth taking force. This is headed right and needs to settle quickly. And McBeth has found the OB green on the right side of this hole. Strokes continue to change hands at the top of our leaderboard. Conrad last to tee. I believe this is a PD2 for him. James's initial angle looked like the best of the bunch, but that has carried two straight and found out of bounds as well.
Unbelievable to see the the challenge that these guys are presented with. Meanwhile, Ricky Wysocki making it look easy. Here's a word from Dynamic Discs. And Eagle McMahon very quickly stepping up to his lie and throwing his approach shot, but that's not a tap-in.
It is far from a tap-in, especially with winds like we're experiencing today.
And Paul McBeth going back to the bag, making a slight adjustment as he goes with the jump putt that skips up.
Conrad with a beautiful turnover around the tree. Those kind of touch approaches, even on a putting form with winds like we have today, are just so difficult to execute well. This is McMahon for his par.
when he rifles it in there, it catches the low right side of the chains and then falls back in. So Eagle does walk away with the par, and Wysocki left with this very short putt for birdie.
Wysocki leaves no doubt and putts at probably 40 or 50 miles an hour, getting a little juice behind that putt.
And you see McBeth unenthusiastically approach the basket here on 11 as he taps in.
Over to hole 12, 314 feet up the hill, the site of Brian Earhart's ace today. Congrats again, Brian. We've got a flex line down the middle, and then we've got a big forehand around the outside here. I don't think we'll see a lot of competitors take the big right-hand hyzer, as we do have OB Tallgrass on the right side and OB Fairway on the left. This is playing as our second easiest hole on the day, 25% of the field below par, and then 60% of the field taking par.
And then what percentage of the field taking ace?
Yeah, that's just going to be the one ace. Let's scroll down. It's Brian Earhart. Brian, he got his throwing distance
we were
was
just talking about an ace about him.
That's right. His throwing distance was 314 feet, and that's how long this hole is.
That's awfully convenient.
Through the beauty of U-Disc, I could tell you that.
Well, congratulations again, Brian Earhart. Just what an awesome feeling. As if you don't have enough GBO moments here at this 2019 Glassblown Open. There's another one that he can add. I'm hoping he's at least going to hashtag GBO moment that.
If he doesn't, well, we won't really do anything, but we'll just be sad.
We're on the tee, ready to go. Ricky Wysocki with the honors after carding the lone birdie on hole number 11.
Ricky with a beautiful shape here, beating the affectionately named Melton tree in the middle of the fairway. Landing inside circle 2. Eagle trying to decide between the forehand and the flex. Looks like he's going to line up the forehand. This is PD2 around the outside. And this is an incredibly high shot for McMahon. Executed well. That's going to be around circle 1's edge. McBeth playing the flex down the middle. He does get through underneath the tree, and he is inside circle 1. McBeth holding on to a one-stroke lead over both McMahon and Wysocki, with Cale LaVisca creeping up, only 3 shots back of the lead right now.
Cale with a solid 2 under through 13 holes.
James with something incredibly overstable. I believe this is a gator for him. Wow, can you believe that shot?
I only can because I saw him do it something similar yesterday.
Incredible.
We'll be back in a moment where you can join the 5,000 viewers taking in the Glassblown Open. We see McMahon's putt
rise into the band. He will have about 15 left for par it, as that's gotten a little away from the basket.
And tough to tell if McMahon was just motioning for himself or if he was possibly trying to recognize some kind of distraction.
McBeth meets the same fate as Eagle and hits the band as well. Wow, Wysocki could take a share of the lead if he can convert for birdie here. Conrad is just low. Opposite side of the basket, so it looked like that dropped his putter down. And Wysocki for a share of the lead. Dead center, big fist pump, and you can hear the gallery's appreciation. We have a new co-leader. Let's take a look, another look at that putt from Ricky Wysocki.
Wysocki stares it down. We know he's awfully forceful with his putts, and
as is McMahon.
As is McMahon here, and McMahon waited for that to settle too before he took a breath.
On to hole 13, 394 feet uphill. Plays like a little bit more than that. With the wind today, this is going to be a hole that our players certainly want to land left of the cart path, as anything right has the chance to grab and stay OB. We also have OB on the left side with tall grass as well. This is playing as our as our 7th most difficult hole today. Only 2 birdie 2s so far. Calvin Heimberg and Anthony Barella carding those birdie 2s. 68% though of the open field taking pars today.
Well, maybe no surprise to see our 2 birdies come from 2 of the longest throwers in the sport of disc golf.
Yep.
Both have such control, and as I think about Calvin Heimberg just for a moment, as I was trying to spit that one out for you, kind of surprising. This has not been a weekend for him where we've seen him really in that discussion in terms of going after the win.
Right.
He's had such a great start to this season. He is now touring full-time. He's had some very impressive wins, of course, winning the last national tour event that was played, which was also the first one of the year here in 2019. Mm-hmm. He took down Vegas back in the middle of February. And he's had some other really impressive showings there since then. Not in contention really here this weekend.
Yeah, Heimberg currently sitting at 9 under par, so 7 shots off of the pace. And that is
Ricky Wysocki.
Beautiful from Wysocki, but staring straight at that OB cart path for his putt. His work is not done on this hole. As you were saying about Calvin Heimberg, though, we certainly haven't seen the last of Heimberg. He has talent in spades and a 1040 rating to go along with it. I mean, that's the absolute upper echelon of our sport.
I like the angle that McMahon is bringing this in, and just a bit deep of the basket, up against the tree. Eagle McMahon has a good look at birdie from there. And now we saw a mistake from Paul McBeth, I believe, yesterday. This was really his first blemish or mistake of the round. He threw this straight out of bounds. It just really didn't have enough angle on it at any point to even think about coming back in bounds. We'll see if he can make the correction today.
This is out over the cart path, but looking good.
And just a few feet from where Eagle McMahon has landed.
Yeah, those are 3 tee shots thrown by 3 different people that look so very similar in their flight and in the ground action once they got up to the basket. Conrad playing up the middle. I think this is his Thunderbird.
All right.
And he might have hit somebody else's disc right there.
I believe he did. I think he owes him a root beer.
Yeah. A nice non-alcoholic root beer.
Yes, I think that's how everyone plays it around the country. All right, let's take a quick look at the scores. Ricky Wysocki now has a share of the lead after taking the birdie on the previous hole. No one else could match that. So we're seeing them at 16 under, Eagle McMahon at 15 under. Cale LaVisca certainly right in the thick of things as he sits at 13 under. Anthony Barella 12 under through hole 13. That's when I start to think, okay, I'm not sure anyone at that, we'll say 10 or 12 spot. I'm not sure that there's going to be enough golf for them to play.
Right.
Because not only do they need to finish strong, but then they would need the 3 or 4 people above them to all kind of have a collapse or some kind of falter.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see our winner come out of these top 2 or 3 positions as they sit right now.
That's right. And then we talk about the Raz round yet again. This isn't just another field event that we're doing at Glassblown Open, although it's going to be a ton of fun. The top 4 MPO competitors will be paired with the top 4 FPO competitors and playing kind of a modified alternate shot format. The 2 winners of that, so the team that wins will receive $1,000 apiece. So not chump change whatsoever. These guys are going to compete to the best of their ability. They're going to finish their round, take a quick break, and then we'll be back on the course for the Rainwater Raz round. $2,000 total per team on the line.
Wow. I can guarantee you, if you haven't already watched one of the Raz rounds that maybe I've put out in the last few years on my Disc Golf Guy channel, this will be the most entertaining yet chaotic and just wild round of disc golf you've ever seen. It's just 3 holes, but it'll feel like so much more.
Conrad taking his time on this putt into the wind.
Oh no, and Conrad has not only missed but then gone out of bounds. Seeing that happen just as Wysocki's about to step up. Unbelievable what just happened.
Wow.
The crowd erupted as it looked as if Ricky Wysocki took the birdie and was momentarily going to have the outright lead. Instead, it slips out. Wow.
It's an extremely tough break for Wysocki.
And for a moment now, Eagle McMahon finds himself tied for the lead, but Paul McBeth has this birdie putt for the outright lead. Paul taking more time than normal. And Paul just barely slips it in over the top of the cage. And just like that, McBeth will be your outright leader as he moves to 17 under par. Let's take another look at this by Ricky Wysocki.
That's a brutal cut through. You have to think that the wind played a part of that. Once it
There
was
is
in
no
the
doubt.
change, that it just kind of scooted around. Unlucky that it happened just like that today, though.
Unbelievable. All right, we're going to move on to hole number 13. We're also going to give you a little look at the fairway over there on hole 13. But it looks like actually there may be a slight technical difficulty. Johnny V's trying to click some buttons. We're going to take you along for the walk with us. And it sounds as if literally I hear him in the other room. Maybe the mouse ran out of batteries. We're not sure. As funny as it is, or not, he's trying to change his position. All right, I'm sorry. There's a little bit of chaos going on as I'm going to readjust and get ready. Talk about a technical glitch. And I'm going to go on record.
That was kind of funny. I mean, come on.
5 years of Smashbox, I'm not sure that upon trying to press a dozen different buttons, none of them are working for Johnny. So apologize for that.
Yeah, we could hear the frantic tone in his voice all the way in here, but looks like we're getting that sorted out right now as We'll recap our scores really briefly as we see McBeth go back to taking the outright lead. He is one ahead of both Eagle McMahon and Ricky Wysocki. McMahon will take the box, and he's looking at a forehand here. He's been throwing DD3s on forehand all weekend. And this is looking picture perfect for McMahon, well past the trees in the middle of the fairway. He'll have less than 400 feet to approach the basket.
McBeth will follow suit with a forehand attempt here. He's pushing out to that left side, hoping that it fights back. The gallery's pushed back plenty. And that is a really good position for Paul McBeth. I feel like that's going to award him a couple of different options when he approaches that lie. I think we will likely see another forehand from him, though.
Wysocki's forehand finishing hard right. A good shot from Wysocki and still 80 to 90 feet behind McMahon. Conrad with a huge hyzer. Wow, did you see where that landed? What a shot by Conrad.
We're going to move down the fairway. We'll be back in a moment.
I play disc golf because I've been playing since I was 4 years old. It started off just playing with my dad, and then I realized I had this natural ability. I love that you have to adapt every time you throw the disc. It's never the same. It keeps you on your toes, and I think it's something that challenges you as a human being. I chose the Lucid X Convict because it's such a versatile fairway driver, but in the Lucid X plastic, it's super dependable. It's like a beat-in Felon where you can just pop it nice and flat and it'll ride forward for a while before it hyzers out at the end. It doesn't move a lot on the fairway, but you are going to get that reliable, overstable finish.
We're back on hole 14's fairway. Paul McBeth on screen, waiting for the competitors on hole 15 to hole out. I'm hopeful that at some point during this hole, as we've typically had some cell signals at this point on the course, we might be able to get a nice shot of the gallery. As you can see, all the people on the cart path. Incredible gallery out here so far. Oh my goodness, in the several hundreds for certain.
And what's great about this 14 and 15 interchange is you can really watch it along one side of the fairway and then just simply turn around and you'll be able to see 15's drives in just a few moments as well. And yes, we will alert you ahead of time, as Robert just alluded to. Sometimes, as in the previous 7 rounds, we've had a little bit of a challenge as we get closer and closer to the basket here on hole number 14. There's something to do with a cellular tower challenge, and we've known this for a few years now. Here's McBeth's forehand, and that's pushing toward the right side OB, but it looks like it's stopped, and he will be inbounds. I see a green flag due to one of the spotters.
Wysocki taking the big hyzer out toward the fence. He sprints over to take a look at the finish. Looks like he's beaten the tree. He will be inside circle 1. McMahon, where lightning struck and he threw in for eagle, looking to replicate that effort. Coming up just short, he'll have to settle for a close putt for birdie. And behind our competitors in the fairway, you can see a sea of purple shirts. Those are our volunteers, helping to corral the gallery a little bit, making sure that our players have as much space as they need and that everyone has a pleasant viewing experience here on the course. Conrad just bounces around the tree inside circle 1.
Johnny, if you can get these ones walking in, stay up here and get ready for the green.
Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Robert McCall, the smartest man on the Disc Golf Answer Man podcast. Hence the glasses.
That's the only reason I wear them.
Yeah, never mind the sight requirement.
No.
All right. Well, either way, we are here. We're so glad you could join us. We have nearly 5,500. Actually, we're going to be pushing 6,000 people here. We'd like you to go out and share the link with everyone you know. We know there are probably a few thousand people around the town of Emporia right now. So I would just like to say 2 things. I would first and foremost like to say thank you for watching. Hope that you're enjoying the disc golf. And if for any reason you're not enjoying it, well, then I apologize, because I know that we've been on your screen all week long in just about every establishment here in Emporia. Here's Wysocki.
Wysocki's birdie bid is low, as we saw McBeth's was just high a moment ago. They're going to stay in the same positions they are currently. This will be Conrad from circle 1 for his birdie.
Oh, and Conrad's online, but it's short.
Eagle McMahon last to putt. This is for a share of the lead with Paul McBeth. And he is in the middle of the basket from 10 feet. McMahon moves into a tie. A little bit of headwind in McBeth's face. No problem. He's inside 15 feet as well.
Clear of hole 14. Let's take a look at the 15th out here at the Emporia Country Club.
The 15th is going to be our last even close to easy hole that our competitors are going to play today. This tournament is far from over. 438 feet with out-of-bounds golf fairway on the right side. A lot of our players are either going to be skipping off of that fairway or playing over the top of it. There is OB golf cart path on the left side. This hole is playing at a 3.36 scoring average today. Only 3 players collecting the birdie 2 so far, and Calvin Heimberg, Garrett Gurthey, and Seth Wood. Garrett Gurthey parking this hole 5 feet. So we've got a tie at the top right now with Wysocki just one behind. Paul McBeth and Eagle McMahon both sitting at 17 under par on the week. Wysocki at 16, and Cale LaVisca holding steady in a tie for 4th place with Anthony Barella. As we said, those top 4 positions are very important for the Rainwater Razz Round, as there is $1,000 per player on the winning team on the line.
Well, we're excited to offer that live this afternoon. We're going to come back in. Everyone's going to make sure all the scores, all the details are tabulated and adjusted and make sure we're good to go. Then the teams will be ultimately matched up, and then we're going to go live with yet another. Well, it is called a Razz Round. However, it's really 3 holes, assuming there is no form of sudden death playoff. But make sure you guys stay tuned right here on SmashBoxx TV. Don't get the clicker. Don't find your remote, whatever you guys need to call it. You just stay right here on SmashBoxx TV, and you'll be good to go.
You will definitely be good to go. We see McMahon getting the red flag. It looks like he stayed out in the golf fairway, as we saw him catch that tree yesterday near the basket and roll down to the fairway. Today he just gets swatted by the branches. Incredibly unfortunate break for McMahon.
And so now Paul McBeth has the chance to regain the stroke he lost on the previous hole, or even better yet for him, he could potentially go up 2 at the end of hole 15.
McBeth going down the middle with his force.
That's an interesting decision.
More of a safe play, though, because with the wind blowing so hard in their faces and a little bit left to right, all hyzers want to just get slammed out over that OB fairway. McMahon looking at 4 at best, as we see Wysocki's tee shot carrying wide right, working back toward the fairway. He skipped up inside circle 1, almost on the tree that foiled McMahon's plans yesterday.
Wysocki just the single stroke behind McBeth and McMahon.
Conrad going down the middle as well. Just needs to miss that right side guardian tree, and it has done so. He'll be safe.
The action continues. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to hole number 15 at the Emporia Country Club. Quick shout out to Robert McCall, who's been my co-host. Not only have you graciously joined me here in the studio for the entire weekend, but also doing the post-production MPO 2 commentary found on the Jomez Pro channel throughout the week. You do it all, man.
We've had a good time. You know, I enjoy getting to be in the booth with you and then getting to do the Jomez commentary with my good friend AJ Risley. Commentary nickname still pending, so if you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear them. But yeah, it's been a great week. Like we said, we look forward to this all year, and just glad I get to do what I do. It's been awesome.
Well, I'd like to thank Bobby Brown and the rest of the staff over at Dynamic Disc and Jeremy Rusko for affording us this opportunity to be here representing on the national tour. Paul McBeth to within 5 feet of the basket there.
Conrad's attempt comes up short.
And with the struggles we've seen from James Conrad today, he has actually dipped 8 spots today. Now he is in 11th place as he sits at -6 overall. He may comfortably find himself with a little buffer there because 12th place is 4 strokes behind that.
Wysocki for a share of the lead is low left. And this is McMahon's shot from the drop zone. So this is his putt for bogey 4.
Paul McBeth will be your outright leader at the conclusion of hole 15.
McMahon with a little extra action off the basket as he scoots, wow, maybe 20 feet past.
I cannot believe how far that carried after hitting off the side of the basket. I knew Eagle McMahon would be down at least 1 stroke to Paul McBeth as we wrap up hole 15. If he doesn't make this, he will be down 2 strokes to Paul McBeth. What a solid putt by Eagle McMahon.
Yeah, he's going to surrender 2 strokes to McBeth here, so he'll be 2 behind the lead after taking double bogey from the drop zone.
I may or may not have been doing my math correctly there at first, Robert, but as you said, 2 strokes swing in favor of Paul McBeth.
We saw a big number in the form of a double from Eagle McMahon here, but our holes only get more difficult. Moving to the iconic, the signature island hole, hole 16 here, 383 feet. Players attacking the island must land safely on the island to move to it. All shots that go out of bounds go to the drop zone. We've got only 2 players carding the birdie 2 today, Adam Hammis and Logan Harpool. Looks like we've seen a lot of players go for the island but come up unsuccessfully, as only 19% of the field has taken par so far today. 77% of our cut field, our top competitors, have taken bogey or worse here on hole 16. So,
Well,
sorry, as we talked about before,
yeah.
no lead is safe now. I mean, we see McBeth in the lead by 1 over Wysocki, who leads McMahon by 1. Those numbers could be attached to different people in a heartbeat here on hole 16.
Yeah, and as we're looking at it, we know we have really the toughest part of the course here in 16, 17, and 18 to play. But Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki, Eagle McMahon, all being within 2 strokes of one another, they are then 3 clear of Anthony Barella. So I know I said it a few holes ago. Our winner for this tournament is going to come from this lead card. I have no doubt about that.
Yep.
I love Anthony Barella. I love Cale LaVisca. Talented players, but there's not enough holes right now, and there's just not enough chaos that I think could happen for anyone outside of McBeth, Wysocki, or McMahon to take this down.
That's right.
As to which one of those 3,
Yeah.
I'll put all 3 names in a cup, roll some dice, and then we'll figure out who the winner is after that.
Yeah, who's to say? This is quite the exciting finish that we're going to see here.
This is every bit as exciting as we saw on the FPO side. There, it was just a 2-woman race at this point. We watched Paige Pierce go for the green and land on the green from the shorter tee. Katrina Allen then followed that up, and right now, this very well may determine the winner of the tournament right here on 16. A big number might take you out of it for good. any moment now, we will also be cresting the 6,000 live viewer mark. We thank you guys so much for your support and watching live disc golf here on Smashbox TV. Thank you to the PDGA and Dynamic Discs for bringing us along for this second stop on this national tour. Paul McBeth is laying up.
Zone for McBeth settles nicely. If you haven't already shared the stream link, please go do so on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever social media accounts that you have. Let's get this thing up to 7,000 before the day is over.
Why not?
We've got some of the most exciting disc golf we've seen in a while live here on Smashbox TV. Now, Ricky's layup is good but wide. And with the pin being on the back right side of the green, he's likely going to have a much lower ceiling than McBeth to contend with on his way to the basket. It's a dead tailwind for our competitors, and here is James Conrad. Guess what he's got in his hand to go for the island here?
Of course, he's going with a putter.
This is AVR for Conrad. Thrown very high, drifting right, getting slammed late. I think without that little drop, he had a chance to make it. But Conrad going for broke at this point as he's worked his way off of the top four for the time being. McMahon locked and loaded, playing for the island here. This is a forehand PD2, and this could swing the momentum in his favor.
And Eagle has landed. The Eagle has landed on the island.
This is crazy. Okay, so our camera's broadcasting to the studio. I heard the gallery outside of the clubhouse before I saw the disc land on the island. Incredible gallery out there, an incredible shot by McMahon, who has a look at birdie 2 here. Wow, look at how many people are out there. Wow, this is incredible stuff. I'm so excited to be sitting here watching this live with all of you.
So we're going to have 2 shots that were both from their layups. We're going to have 1 shot from the drop zone, and then Eagle McMahon already on the island looking at a very intense putt with OB water directly behind the basket.
We've arrived at Wysocki's layup. He's got pig in hand for a forehand approach here. You can see the low-hanging branches are kind of messing with his stance. He's asking for this to sit, and it's done so beautifully. Ricky gives himself a clap of celebration as he is under the pin for his par 3. McBeth taking his time, likely approaching with a zone yet again. This is too much action for McBeth. It has hopped off the back of the island.
Oh, and he gets the green flag.
Wow, green flag. Oh my goodness, what a great piece of land for McBeth, and I can guarantee we will have a discussion about the legitimacy of that call from the spotter.
Oh,
that's going to be very close. And we think back to 2018 Glassblown Open when we saw the controversy on whether Eagle shot had landed in bounds off the tee or not.
It certainly has at least part of the flight plate exposed. That does not necessarily mean that it's inbounds. I would have been more comfortable had the spotter, put up both flags saying that they were unsure, because now all of the competitors have the headspace of wondering if that's really inbounds or not. As Ricky takes a quick glance over there, Paul takes a quick glance. and they will address Paul's disc in a moment. First, I think they're going to have they're going to need Eagle to throw his second shot. And then, of course, we will move in and listen to the conversation. As you said, Robert, there's going to be possibly a heated discussion, or not. I think it will be, though.
As you see McMahon taking his time here. This is about 28 feet, ripping right to left wind from his perspective. Water behind the basket. Eagles tournament is all but over if he doesn't convert here.
And it hits off the top band and luckily stays in bounds. Now we're going to move in. The rest of the players should certainly walk over there and confirm that that's inbounds. Paul walks away. He wants no part of the conversation at the moment. He knows that it's close.
It's like one of those ones where it's on about
Eagle walks away quickly. It looks like they're giving him the inbounds ruling. I think we'd be having a lot more discussion if they were ruling out of bounds.
And the call will stand. Again, a spotter's call is not official. If these four players walked up and had a different ruling, that would overrule whatever the spotter had called. And in this case, the call does stand. But Paul McBeth misses. What is happening? Oh, there is still... Oh, my goodness. And Eagle collects his thoughts and maintains. He takes the par after hitting the island green, missing the birdie putt.
Yeah, I guess I should rephrase. When McMahon was lining up, I was thinking if he misses this putt and goes in the water, his tournament is over. That's what I was thinking, but my my mind is running a lot quicker than our words can come out right now as we're seeing a tie back at the top. Paul McBeth and Ricky Wysocki with McMahon just one throw behind. Hole 17 is no slouch as it comes to difficulty on the course, playing as the hardest hole in the course today. 6% of our field taking birdies: Calvin Heimberg, Colton Montgomery, and Peter McBride, with only 28% carding pars today. Our players have to navigate a narrow fairway with OB and the tall grass on the left side and OB, the golf fairway, on the right side. There's also a Mando on the right to prevent the huge hyzer. The best drives that we've seen have crested the hill, slightly turned, and given our players an opportunity to turn, I don't know, about to 2 o'clock from where their disc lands and throw out over a significant portion of OB up to the basket. Birdie basically gains you 2 strokes on the field here right now, as the scoring average is playing at a 4.98, nearly a full stroke over par in the wins today. Come on, man. Come on.
I am looking at the scorecard, and they just tell such different stories. I see a sea of white by Eagle McMahon, so many pars today. And that's where he sits. He sits at even par for the day. Ricky Wysocki is just littered with blue birdie indicators on his card, but then has that massive snowman, the 8 from hole number 8. That's the only thing that has kept him back from running away with it at this point. And then you have to look at Paul McBeth, who has just 4 birdies on the round, but has taken 6 bogey strokes, including that double that we saw him take on hole number 9. Just 3 completely different rounds out here. The emotions are running high for everybody. Paul McBeth barely keeps himself on the island during that approach shot on 16. Then he walks up and he all but doinks. I really don't have a better word for it. He doinks the putt, and Paul McBeth ultimately walks off the island with the 4 after the layup on the tee. I wouldn't believe it if I'm not seeing it with my own 2 eyes right here on Smashbox. That was a good plug for Smashbox.
We got 2, yeah. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're pretty good.
Here's Ricky on the tee.
This is a great shape for Wysocki. Safely on the fairway, and he's actually gotten wide enough that he'll likely be able to throw a huge hyzer out over everything. Eagle's drive is very low and early right.
$6,500 viewers joining us along with the entire town of Emporia. Thank you guys so much. This is Paul McBeth with his tee shot on hole number 17.
McBeth has thrown this well, asking for it to get up. It's cut just back to the left, but it's just fine. It's in the middle of the fairway. I will say, as it stands right now, advantage Ricky as to position on the fairway. Conrad's hair is loose, and he is letting it fly. That's a great drive for James.
We'll be back in a moment.
At Dynamic Discs, we offer affordable custom stamping to help your company, club, event, or tour stand out from the rest. We can use your own design, or we'll work with you to design a stamp that captures the tone of your event. We'll get your discs stamped quickly and on their way within 3 weeks. If you're ordering for an event, you may qualify for one of our sponsorship tiers as well. Discs are listed at our best pricing with a minimum 50 disc order with a 10 disc minimum per mold. We have junior and mini discs available as well. For all the information you need, head over to dynamicdiscs.com or email custom@dynamicdiscs.com.
Dymax is a process where we can take just about any image and put it on a disc.
Can we Dymax our love?
Well, yeah, we can Dymax that. Find out more about all the things that we can put on a disc at dynamicdiscs.com/Dymax.
Welcome back. We are now with Eagle McMahon here on the fairway of hole number 17. Eagle currently one throw off of the lead. We have Paul McBeth and Ricky Wysocki tied at 16 under par.
McMahon playing hard to the left side of the fairway, swinging back nicely. That's a huge shot from McMahon. He's set up for a pretty easy par from there. Great forehand with his PD2. Force on forehand for McBeth. He's attacking the green, and this may be a little early. He catches a tree. He is in bounds. Had he been on the other side of that tree, or the tree on the right side, McBeth would have found the out of bounds area, but the OB line is still pretty close to the green from where he threw. Whew.
Of course, no surprise as we're coming down the stretch. Hole 17 and 18 left to play. The story over the last 5 or so years has been this classic battle between McBeth and Wysocki, and ever so fitting, McMahon is of that next generation of golfer that's proven himself over these last few years. He's come up, contended with, and beat both McBeth and Wysocki. But right now, it looks like the elders in McBeth and Wysocki are battling. McMahon just lurking, seeing if there's going to be an opportunity to strike in these next 2 holes.
Conrad ripping it over the right side OB. Spotter hustling over to check of the status.
Yeah,
that's OB for Conrad.
Yeah, he's going to retrieve that disc at the block party.
That's right.
Where I think he's put it.
Yeah, and this is reminiscent of 16-17 disc golf as we see McBeth Wysocki knotted up at the top.
And let's just think ahead for a moment. We have this highly contested battle among these 3 right now. we're then going to likely see them as part of the Raz round in a few minutes. And Wysocki just barely clears the OB.
Both safe, probably both looking at par 4 here. Yeah, going to be a part of the Raz round is what you're saying.
Well, and yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. This is high intensity. We're talking about a national tour event on the line. You're talking about one of the most prestigious events you can take down here in the Glass Blown Open. Eagle McMahon, of course, still trying to defend that title that he left Emporia with last year. Ricky Wysocki clearly has ties to winning here as he took down his first ever world championship title right here in Emporia, just maybe 100 feet away from where hole 18 will finish today. So there's a lot of emotion tied up in this place. And, of course, Paul McBeth, a winner of the Glass Blown Open in the past, too. So one way or another, we are going to see an incredible finish here. The question is, will it finish on 18, or are we going into overtime?
Hey, I like bonus golf, but I want to see this end in regulation. I want to see it all come down to 18, and one of our competitors makes birdie to win. Eagle approaching with his MD5, getting a good skip toward the basket. A small roll away, but he's inside 15 feet for his look at par. Viewership now at over 6,800 viewers. Incredible that we've got so many people watching live disc golf right now. We need approximately 187 of your friends to join us so we can crest that 700 number before we reach the conclusion of this round. 7,000. We've already got 700 a few times.
700 and 7,000.
Yes.
We would love to see that. Heck, let's just get right to 8.
My apologies.
It's been a long week here, Robert. We're all good, buddy. And look at the wind as it is nearly blowing over those feather banners in the background.
McBeth taking a high jump putt over the bushes. That is 20 feet or so. Tester putt for McBeth. In normal conditions, guaranteed. In these conditions, all but. Wysocki has pitched up nicely. He's about as far away from the basket as McMahon. You see Conrad sauntering over toward his OB lie.
That's a next level term here. Thanks, Robert. You always have to show me up here in the booth, don't you?
I think it's appropriate for James because he walks the coolest.
He does.
This man is the coolest walker on tour, bar none. Don't at me.
Yep. And James Conrad even letting loose, getting rid of the ponytail holder. And he's going to approach to within 10. Little tester putt for Paul McBeth. He needs this.
McPaul.
McPaul.
If we were friends, that would be our friend name, but that's McBeth converting for par. Wysocki is in for par as well.
No.
I'm sorry. I feel like that made it sound like I don't like McBeth. We're cool. We just don't have a friend named together.
And Eagle is in as well.
We are headed to 18. Hotly contested battle. We've got McBeth and Wysocki tied at 16 under at the top. McMahon 15 under. Moving over to hole 18. Most of our competitors have been playing a forehand layup near the FPO tee and then throwing a hyzer up to the green. This has an elevated basket, which is sure to be in play here as we conclude our 4th round. Now, I have to say, this is an elevated basket. It's very windy today. We will likely see that in play. Now, I have to say, with the wind blowing as much as it is, Eagle McMahon 1 shot off of the lead with the knowledge that 3 will probably not net him a championship here at the Glassblown Open. We might see Eagle play for the for the Eagle 2. I want to see it.
I'm going to go see it with my own 2 eyes. Robert,
I'm
going to leave you here in the booth.
I'm going to see it with my monitor eyes.
As we've been talking about, this has been a tremendous experience being here in the booth. We are just outside of hole number 18. I'm going to hustle out. I'm going to grab a microphone so that if we do have a winner that's crowned on 18 or after sudden death, I want to get in there and have a face-to-face interview with them. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you, guys. We love you so much. We'll see you in a little while. Robert's going to take things over from here. Me, I'm heading out. See you guys.
Okay, bye. Well, he'll head out shortly. There we go. Wysocki playing a safe forehand off the tee here. Oh my goodness, no way. Ricky Wysocki has just thrown into the water from the tee. Look where Eagle's eyes are pointed right now. He's looking at the big hyzer. And it seems like the gallery agrees with me. They want to see a big shot. McMahon knows that he needs the stroke here. And ultimately, if he does go out of bounds, he still has 2 strokes over Anthony Barella, who will be joining us for the Raz round in 4th place. But first things first, here's McMahon. Shot of the tournament upcoming for McMahon if he intends to contest for the win. Huge shot from McMahon with a DD3. And he covered the distance to get safe, but ultimately has landed out of bounds. That will end McMahon's shot at the win here, but I love the play. Has to get aggressive, goes for it, covers the distance, but just didn't quite have enough right to left to finish up. McBeth's forehand is dreadfully high. He needs this to dig hard. And he's landed safe. He is out in front of the FPO. Wow, what a way to conclude here. Conrad letting loose on his Thunderbird. Conrad has thrown an OB long. That is a crush with a 9-speed disc, mind you. I bet it plays 410, 415 to the spot Conrad just threw. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Right now sitting at 7,290 viewers watching live disc golf. This is one of the largest live audiences that I've seen, and especially that I've been a part of. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for tuning in to watch us here at the Glassblown Open. We've had a great time this weekend getting to watch an incredible FPO battle. Katrina Allen starting the day with a 6-shot lead over Paige Pierce. Paige Pierce bringing that back to a tie after 16. We head to 18 tied up, and Katrina Allen makes a huge clutch putt on the 400-plus foot hole 18 to secure her victory here at the 2019 Glassblown Open. Now on the men's side, we've got Ricky Wysocki, who's going to be playing from the drop zone. His best score at this point, unless he can throw in from the drop zone, is going to be 4. We'll see how he plays it here. And this is straight and looking good for Wysocki if it's not too long. Green flag for Wysocki, so he will have a putt, though not a very close one. McMahon just trying to land close here with this hyzer. Beautifully played. That is inside the circle. McMahon kind of shakes his head in disgust, but he's been right there all weekend. Just fell off this round. The unfortunate 5 on hole 15. Conrad ripping out a hyzer, tracking toward the pin. Unfortunately lifting high. That may have gone OB long as well for James Conrad. But once again, what an incredible battle. As we look back on kind of the pivotal moments of this round, we talked earlier about McBeth taking that 4 on hole 8, one of the most difficult holes on the course all week. McBeth carding the 4 on both Friday and Saturday's round. It's advantage McBeth as he's tied with Ricky Wysocki. Ricky putting for par currently. This is McBeth. And this is for the tournament.
Yeah. There it is.
McBeth has put his disc 18 to 20 feet from the basket. And it could never be easy, as we see McBeth is going to have a tester putt to that elevated basket here on hole 18. But yeah, we look back at hole 8, seeing McBeth card the birdie 4 both Friday and Saturday, while his fellow competitors take some big numbers. We see Ricky Wysocki carding the triple bogey 8 there. Ricky Wysocki with the best round of the day so far, currently still sitting at 3 under par. The only other person under par that I can see on the leaderboard is Anthony Barella. Yeah, we ended up with two rounds of 3 under par as it stands right now. Colton Montgomery also shooting a fantastic 3 under par. That's going to be rated extremely well today. Anthony Barella finishing at 2 under par. And then we've got Eagle McMahon, Nate Sexton, and Andrew Presnell currently sitting at even par. Nobody else even or under for the week. Or sorry, for the day. Incredibly difficult conditions. Conrad will take his meter of relief. This is his putt for double bogey 5. He's just going to lay up. Totally understandable. Tough day for Conrad. He didn't have his best stuff today. Ricky lining up. This is to put the pressure on McBeth. Ricky's par attempt is just low. He's got 12 feet left for his bogey, and if Paul chooses to, he can lay this next putt up for the win here at the 2019 Glassblown Open. Eagle McMahon finishes his tournament with a confident putt on this elevated basket. He's going to card at par. McBeth just slides his putter up under the basket wisely, as the wind has wreaked havoc on our competitors all week. Wysocki will finish in a tie for second place with Eagle McMahon. Conrad is in. And here's McBeth, your 2019 Glassblown Open champion. Let's listen in.
Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for your 2019 Glassblown Open champion, McBeth. course. Hey guys, please stick around and join us for the round ready for the countdown. Or are you gonna return it, man? Yeah. Rick just looked out back. There was scores now. Scores, obviously. Ricky has a card.
You don't have to go to this. Just go to this tent now. You don't have to go all the way to the.
Currently watching as our players head toward the scoring tent.
Like check KM2.
We'll allow everyone to add up some scores here, but congratulations to Paul McBeth, your 2019 Glassbone Open champion. Let's take a moment to look at how McBeth arrived here. A couple of standout statistics from McBeth this week that we see from udisclive.com. Fairway hits, McBeth was second in the field at 79% throughout the week, sixth in parked percentage, fourth in Circle 1 in regulation, and then third Circle 2 in regulation. We always look at that statistic as the players who are playing the best are giving themselves opportunities to get those birdies, and McBeth had a birdie opportunity within 66 feet, more than exactly 2/3 of the time that he was on the course. Incredible throwing from McBeth this week. One of the areas we see that he lacked just a little bit was his Circle 1X putts. McBeth at 69% this week, which was 88th in the field, but that's the only stat for him that wasn't absolutely stellar. So great stuff from McBeth this week, asserting his dominance once again and showing that he's got new confidence in his Discraft discs. And so he's going to take the win here with Ricky Wysocki and Eagle McMahon both in the tie for second place. Rounding out our top four will be Anthony Barella. He'll be joining us for our Raz round, and we hope that you will as well. In a tie for fifth place, Nate Sexton and Cale LaVisca. Nate putting in a round of even par. Fantastic in today's wins. And then Cale LaVisca 2 over par. They'll be joined in that tie for fifth by Calvin Heimberg, who shot 3 over today. Chris Dickerson slipping down the leaderboard just a bit with a round of 5 over par. Johnny McRae 1 over par, moves up the leaderboard 2 spots. And then rounding out our top 10, Adam Hammis 3 over par to finish at 5 under on the week. I want to thank everyone so much for tuning in and spending time with us this week. I mean this in the most sincere way. We plan on this tournament for the entire year, and so to get to see it come to fruition and to have so many of you, over 7,000 of you on the live stream join us is just really incredible. Thank you so much for doing so. We're just currently waiting on scores to be added up so we can go out to Terry Miller in the field, but if you haven't done so, I would ask that you go to the SmashBoxxTV channel and subscribe to that. You can get notifications whenever SmashBoxxTV goes live for their weekly podcast Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Central, or you can get notified whenever we have live disc golf action for you, like we did here at the Glassbone Open. Also, for the Dynamic Discs family, I want to thank you for supporting us, Jeremy Rusko, Doug Bjerkes, and all of our tournament staff out here this week, as well as our fantastic media team, Bobby Brown, Danny Lindahl, and Anthony Vanden Heuvel. Huge shout out to you guys for getting the work done for us. We appreciate so much of what you do. And if you haven't tuned into the Disc Golf Answer Man podcast, the first or second best podcast, depending on which one of us you ask, you can check us out at discgolfanswerman.com or live on YouTube, 2 p.m. Central on Tuesdays as well. Just waiting on some scorecards to be added up, and then we'll be heading out for the Raz round shortly. We'll send it out to Terry Miller at the field. We'll get a quick sound check, and we'll prepare for an interview with our champion, Paul McBeth.
Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if we are here. If you guys are joining us, I'm out here just off the green of hole number 18. In just a few moments, we're going to have Paul McBeth emerge from the U-Disc tent. I believe he's officially adding up the scorecard, making sure that that gets turned in so that we can make the scores official as Paul McBeth is your champion here at the 2019 Glass Blown Open. If you look around, you see that we have plenty of people just milling around waiting for that Paul McBeth autograph or any of our top competitors. In fact, we'll also be bringing you the Raz round. So as soon as we shut down with the stream here, we're going to open up another one for you. We invite you to join us there. The players are going to get a few moments to collect themselves. We're going to stand down, get a few things recharged, and then we're going to come back with you so that we can give you that Raz round. Right now, as I said, I'm just waiting on McBeth to join us. Thank you guys so much. What an epic battle we had here today. So many of us talk about the Paul and Ricky of old. Well, they provided just that today. Eagle McMahon not able to keep up. He put up a great fight, but comes up short. He will not be your returning champion here at the Glass Blown Open, but Paul McBeth taking down the title. Again, actually, maybe in the meantime, if I can grab, we're going to grab, as we wait for a teammate, real quick, we're going to catch up. Brian, we're waiting on the champ, but first I want to talk to you, man.
Hey.
Tell us, is it true you aced back-to-back days?
Yeah. I suppose I did, huh?
Yeah, I suppose. Hole 10 yesterday and then hole 12 today. Everybody's seen hole 10 and they're still going to share it. But tell us about hole 12. We affectionately refer to that as the Zach Melton tree hole. What did you throw?
I threw a force. I threw a especially overstable run of force. There was a weird tailwind that I had to throw some sort of flat stall shot, and I threw it legitimately perfect. I've never really had an ace in my life that was actually perfect, where like if I missed the basket it would still be parked, and that was it. It was insane. So
all right. So what a feat. I mean, we talk about a GBO moment.
Yeah.
An ace on 10 and an ace on 12. The only fair question to ask is why didn't you ace during the first round?
Because I guess I wasn't brave enough. No, I don't know. I'm still shocked that I even aced once. So it's still a lot to take in.
Well, speaking of shock, there was quite a look of shock. It seemed as if you were the last to know about the ace yesterday on hole 10. Today, did you see it go in? Did you know right away? Because that's kind of a blind alley at the basket.
I heard Zach Johnson right after I threw it. He goes, "Get in," and I kind of tilted my head out to the left, and I saw it go dead in the center of the chains. And yeah, it was. When I ace, I don't really get crazy pumped up because I'm just still shocked that I threw a frisbee into a basket however many feet away. So, I don't know, man. It's still a lot to take in, but
pretty epic. So just under 400 feet on hole 10, 314 feet on hole 12. We're going to let you go. Great performance out here this week. We'll see you at the next one, buddy. All right, that's Brian Earhart. And now it looks like we're going to have Paul McBeth join us. I mean, Paul, I just talked to Brian, your teammate. He had aces in 2 consecutive rounds.
It's incredible. I just heard about it. I saw the one on video this morning, and then I heard, I think we were on hole 9 or something, like, oh yeah, Brian aced again.
Yeah, no big deal anymore. Well, we are here. You are now the champion at the Glass Blown Open. We have to talk about that classic Ricky-Paul battle. You first had to get past McMahon. Tell us how today unfolded for you.
It was just don't make mistakes. I mean, that was the hardest part for me, is I had a lot of mistakes early, and then that little missed putt on the island made it interesting right there at the end. So it was just don't take the big numbers and stay in it.
Was there really any conversation that took place on the island? The spotter ultimately called you in, and then finally everyone got over there to take a look at it. What was the conversation among your card mates?
I just told him it was close. I looked at it, I said, it's close, can you go over there and look? And Rick was over there looking at it, and Eagle walked over, and he's like, it's in. And then Rick's like, yeah. And then James came over a little later, so they said it was in. And only, I think, a third of the disc was in the water.
Sure. So not much of a debate there. So you're leaving here as the champion again. But now we have the rainwater Raz round. You excited about your chances out there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I had to go through that round with being quiet, so it'll be nice to hear the cheers the whole time.
All right.
Or the Raz, whatever you want to call it.
It will be more than that. Anything you'd like to say to the city of Emporia, all the people out here that watch? We had more than 7,000 people watching live online. Anything you'd like to say to everyone out there?
Just continue watching. I mean, we're going to keep making it exciting week after week, so as long as you're there, they'll be able to watch.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. That is Paul McBeth. He is your champion here at the Glass Blown Open. Congratulations again to Katrina Allen, who took it down earlier today. We're going to close things out. As Paul and I just referenced, we're going to see you guys for the Rainwater Raz round. It's been one heck of a week here, all 4 rounds at the Glass Blown Open. I got to thank our camera crew and Rick Hushane, Gary to the O, along with Chad, Johnny V, Robert McCall, and myself. We'll see you guys next time when you step inside the Smashbox. Yeah, buddy. Nice work out there, man.
Good job, Bill.